It's just supposed to be a small get-together. I wanted to be cool for one night. I wanted girls to notice me. Then things got a little out of control.
Tonight's about the girls we never had a shot at. Tonight's about changing the game.
Boy, Jesus better hurry up and get back here, man.
Why you say that?
Because these kids are going crazy.
I'm not sure what the connection is.
I was like, what to show up at this party?
Yes.
And turn the swimming pool into wine?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Hell yeah.
He means Jesus, the guy's bringing the kegs.
Yeah.
He drives the delivery van.
Hey, man, all I can think was watch this movie, Project X, is like, we really got to step it up for Spill.com this year.
I know. We need to destroy a city now.
Yes.
Actually, that's a good point.
The way they destroy a neighborhood in this movie, man, fucking Godzilla is looking back jealous. He's like, damn, how come y'all didn't invite me?
I know. And the sad thing is that, wow, it's like, you think back at every party you've been to and you're like, man, I might as well have been wearing one of those goddamn Scooby-Doo hats and, eating chocolate cake and drinking punch, because every party I've been to sucks compared to this.
Well, to be fair, that was the craziest party you were ever at. Scooby-Doo hat.
This is a party that fucking, if everybody was here, Jesus was there.
Yeah.
God showed up to tell Jesus to come home. Oh, fuck, Dad, come on, man.
And the other thing is, it's shot like in a found footage, so the Cloverfield monster even showed up at the fucking end of this thing to fucking party. I mean, everyone showed. The chick from The Exorcist, that fucking last Exorcist movie showed up. She's drinking on the fucking ceiling.
Yeah,
I mean, it was that fucking crazy.
The party in this movie is so insane that it is a character itself. They don't even have to bring any name actors in here.
No.
They tell
That would have
you-
only distracted.
Well, yeah, that's what they try to tell you. Like, we want this to seem like any kind of found footage movie where if you don't know the characters, then that just adds to believability of the film. No, the movie is totally unbelievable. But even if you were a name, you would, the movie would say Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, and top billing, The Party, because that party that's what saves this movie for me.
It really does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, without the party, it's not a movie. There's no plot. There's barely any characterization of any kind.
No, there is
There's
a plot.
tiny little subplot that has to do with who the main character is going to hook up with. It's, just dealt with when they feel like, fuck, we got to
Well, the movie, I mean, for the most part, the first half of it at least, it's just a sequel to Superbad. I was like, you know what? You basically got the same characters. You got your main kid, wimpy kid, who's Michael Cera, and then he's got his Cartman, Jonah Hill, obnoxious friend, and McLovin is a fat guy this time. But otherwise, it's the same relationship, same conflicts. We gotta do something, be cool. We gotta get to the party or have the party. The one friend is just so obnoxious. You like, I don't think anybody could actually be friends with this guy.
See, I'm like, wow, you know what? When it starts, you're like, all right, this seems just like your typical romp. It's like, okay, they're just making another party movie and they're using this whole found footage gimmick just to do something new because they want to. And I was sitting there like going, you better really impress the fuck out of me because this seems really generic. Once that party gets starting, it does not let you go.
I can't agree with you, unfortunately, and I wish I could. I thought exactly how you did at first, but for well over the first half of the film where I was like, oh God, please let this end soon. This is just fucking boring. I've been to parties crazier than this. And then a point comes when I had never been to a party as crazy as that.
The movie stopped. There's like, wait, shh. This guy in the front row. What'd you just say?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you been to a party crazier than this? Well, what if we do this?
I know.
And then what if we do this? And blow that shit up right there.
And there's a point I'm going, you're watching it, you're going, okay, well, this must be almost over because they've gotten so off the hook that it's just ridiculous. Nope, they're just getting started showing you. I mean, admittedly, it slips into fantasy by that point. You're like, no, this shit would have gotten closed down, 2 hours before this. It's so, at that point, it just becomes fun to watch. You're just watching a huge disaster in the making.
Yeah, it's been described, and I think perfectly, as Superbad mixed with The Hangover, mixed with any number of found footage movies that you've seen. And we've seen right now we are watching the evolution of the found footage genre here. We've seen it done first with horror, then it went on into science fiction, and I almost say that science fiction also crossed over into a superhero film. Now we are seeing it cross over into comedies. And I have to say it works a little better for science fiction and it works a little better for horror movies because here, I mean, Look, the first moment they get on the screen, that is a badass fucking camera that guy has. So crisp, so clean. It even does slow
fresh and so
motion.
clean.
I
Yeah.
mean, wow. Where can I get that fucking camera? You know, you can't get it at Best Buy.
It's impact resistant. It's waterproof.
Oh, it's, no, what you talking about?
It's made out of material from the black box.
It
on
is
a commercial
resistant.
airplane.
No, yeah, it is resistant to blood, vomit, semen, vaginal juices, everything that went on at this party. Dog shit is resistant to all that stuff, and
It's
it doesn't-
everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
And that's why it doesn't work too well here, because where other movies, and I have to say that even in other films, the whole found footage thing, and most people would say this is not found footage because this is more of a documentary. It's what people would say.
It really is.
Yeah, and it is.
mockumentary.
It's just so, you know, they come in at the beginning and they say, we apologize for the footage that you see in this movie to the city of Pasadena and all this kind of stuff. So they are trying to combine that.
It's a gimmick,
Well, they're
man.
trying to like ride the success
Yeah.
of what we see with found footage, but it really is more like the things that we used to see. What's his name that did all those movies, Waiting for Guffman and all those.
Oh, Christopher Guest.
It's more like a Christopher Guest film gone fucking wild on acid and drugs and alcohol.
Well, the thing is, the movie is produced by Todd Phillips, who did
Hangover.
the Hangover and Old School and The Wedding Crashers.
Which is a guy who loves to fucking party, apparently.
yeah, apparently that's all he knows is parties.
Well, his first film was called Frat House, so make it that, and that was a documentary.
Right.
So make of that what you will.
He's come full circle.
Yeah. No, I'm surprised making movies hasn't killed him yet.
Yeah.
Like nobody gets alcohol poisoning from making movies, but he will one day. I'm surprised he hasn't yet. But it doesn't work altogether because, like I said, it's just a matter of convenience the way they decide to do things. 3 unknown actors who play 3 high school friends here who they want to be cool. You know, nobody's. One guy's bragging about how he gets pussy all the time. You know he's lying. Yeah. But
Yeah, well, in the main kid, even his dad is like going like, yeah, but my son's a loser.
Oh, yeah.
I'm okay with it, but he is a
That's
loser.
how it is.
Yeah, he's come to live with it. You know, you can tell one time he had aspirations of his son being on the football team or on the basketball team. And by the time the kid turned,
being straight.
Yeah. And by the time the kid, I guess he was 7. He just said, "Fuck this kid." You know, I guess I'll adopt a black kid or something. But you know, but yeah, they're losers at school, and nobody wants to hang out with them. Girls spit on them; they don't like them, and bullies pick on them. They are those guys. You know, one guy even says, "No, you can't get to your locker because I don't want you to." Okay, I guess I'll go to somebody else's. But they decide to throw this party that will put them on the cool list. They say it's going to be the greatest party ever. It starts out as we'll invite about 30 people. No, you got to go higher than that. Okay, 40 people. 100 people start to show up. They're like, this is bigger than what we thought, but okay, whatever.
If you pick this up, I will stab you. I'm not kidding.
Okay, like no more than 20 people.
20 people?
All right, 30 people, okay?
30 people?
All right, okay, 50 people, absolute max.
Fine. 50 people. Absolute max.
You know, just big enough to be cool.
Soon it turns into a block party. A block party turns into a riot. Next thing you know, the neighborhood is burning down. So, and when it started out, fucking hated all these kids.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Me too.
All of them. Even the fat one didn't even say anything. I just didn't like him because he looked just fucking fat and didn't have any courage.
No, I won't go that far. I only hated the obnoxious
He's barely a
ones.
presence
I mean,
besides
it's
his fatness. But
it's annoying that the other 2 follow him and just do what he says because it's like, you know, realistically, yeah, okay, somebody can be obnoxious and charismatic in that same way, but this kid was pushing it to a level.
Yeah,
it's
they
like,
have a kid named
dude, back off.
I think his name is Costas in the movie.
Yeah,
he
Costas.
He is that kid that you despise because he's a little Jewish nerd, but yet he wants to be so tough.
He's a
that
wigger.
He comes out and
Yeah,
talks
he's a
all
wigger.
that fake black shit.
Yeah.
And he's always up in
even
your
though he
face.
sounds like he has a cold, you know.
He can't beat nobody's ass.
No.
But he's like a little fucking rodent, a little ferret, always up in your face trying to start trouble.
Never stops talking, always trying to take advantage of everyone around him.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you grew up in if you went to high school, which presumably you did, except for you listeners who are middle school and you should be in bed by now. But if you went to high school, you know this guy. You've seen him. He's an archetype. The
We've all
problem
known this
is
guy,
that
yeah.
he is so unlikable, and the other 2 characters are almost non-entities because he will never shut up. I mean,
Right.
the only thing you know is the one guy is fat. And the other guy is will just kind of a browbeaten by his friend.
Yeah.
You know it's his birthday, and you know he's kind of afraid of his parents, and that's about it. And that really, you really never find out almost anything about the fat guy and the skin. You know, the guy who's ostensibly should be the main character, the lead role. You see him go through a little bit of growth as it goes on, but it's all the exact same story in every single party movie ever made.
You know,
for the main character.
You're right about that. It's like I understand they want to make him the kid who's the, you know, he's the quiet, wimpy one who gets pulled along. But you think about like the character of Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where he was sort of that way, but he still got a lot of his personality. And when that car goes off the cliff, you really feel that, and he comes to life.
Yeah.
Whereas this kid, even through it all, he still only had about 2 notes to his performance.
Well, they were only touching on the surfaces of all these characters because, you know, these kids really aren't the star of this movie. It is that party.
Listening to people come out of the theater, they were planning parties already.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you didn't hear that? I heard
I'm
a
gonna
lot of
leave.
people.
Did you guys score any
I'm
invitations?
going to leave
No.
the country for a little while. I don't want my neighborhood burning down. But my problem with most of the party until it gets dangerous is there's just a series of montages. There's almost for like 30 plus minutes, it is a montage and that's it. And sure, it's a montage of topless chicks and people drinking and
Yeah,
stuff.
what's your
but-
problem?
There ain't nothing wrong with that, my friend.
Because there's like 100 websites where that's exactly what you see as well, except at some point they end up actually having sex with one of the chicks and
Those are
filming
fake.
it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
as opposed to
but yeah,
this.
all those had scripts.
There's just a point that I just got bored. I was like, all right, is this going to go anywhere or is this really all you've got? Is just this high schoolers acting like idiots? I gotta admit, part of it this just isn't for me anymore. I mean, cause I'm
Yeah.
split between 2 camps. I still remember the young me that goes, yeah, fucking A, it was awesome. You should go party my ass off and fuck everybody's shit. And this is awesome.
You do that
Off
to
the
every
hook.
you do that to every comic book store you walk into. You talking about you're done with those days.
But the other half of me is with the parents.
Turn over the shelf.
It's like, hey, turn that shit down before I call the
I'd
cops.
be like, do you see what the fuck they did to those parents are cool parents. They gave him a minivan for his birthday and they're like, yeah, let's just tear up his shit. Woo! I'm like, oh man.
That's a real good
man.
point because I mean, sitting there, I was really watching, especially during all the party scenes where like chicks are fucking getting naked in front of the dorkiest looking fucking guys in existence. You know, people are taking shots off tits that you're like, I was that fucking kid. That never fucking happened to me. You know, what the fuck is this movie trying to sell?
Certainly
but
not in high
I
school.
definitely could see how the audience could easily be divided where, you know, you have somebody who probably just wasn't invited to a whole lot of parties. It just looks at this and goes, that's every fucking soul I used to hate back in the day. And now I'm forced to watch a movie about it. But if you do enjoy just people watching, like just seeing things go ape shit crazy. I mean, that's the camp where I ended up falling into because I was like, yeah, I am really having fun living vicariously through this stupid movie.
I was too up until the point where I'm like, you know what? I never got to go to any parties like this, so it's fun to just kind of be there and let it be somebody else's house that's getting tore up. That I don't have to worry about it until they would show some guy who was, you know, middle aged trying to party with these kids. And I was like, oh wow, I feel like I shouldn't be here now. I need to go back and call the cops. on these people.
Hey man, it was fine with me. I did go to parties like that when I was in high school. Now,
Of course you did. Of course you did.
Let me finish. Hold on. Let me finish. Hold on. Now, normally they found me the next day hanging up in the closet by my underwear, you know, where somebody locked me in there, you know,
Wow, that was a few years ago. Corey.
See, that's why he goes to these parties every week now. Yeah, to make up for that.
Oh yeah, I go to these
It makes
parties
a
all
lot
the
of
time.
sense.
I'm usually calling y'all to bail me out by Monday, you know. I'm arrested for being around kids,
I
but
partied my ass off with people just like the people in this film, and there's a reason I don't hang out with those people anymore.
No.
because they're fucking obnoxious.
well, no, you see, the thing is with these, that's the problem with the movie for me is that there's really nothing else to latch onto other than the party. These kids, I hate to be that guy that says that. I know it's a movie, but fuck, man, these kids today, y'all can't blame anybody for smacking the shit out of a teenager if they behave like they're doing this movie. You go over there, ask them to calm down. You know, my wife's trying to sleep and they look at you and talk about, fuck you. We gonna keep doing this no matter what you say. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. I really hate these kids.
You know what? As much as I feel like, you know what, I should be siding with that guy who's like, hey, keep it down. I'm like, look, man, there's a lot of people trying to have fun, and it's just 3 of y'all in the house. Just suck it up for one night.
Yeah.
Let them have that.
Well, to a certain extent, there comes a time where it's
no.
past
At the
that.
point when the neighborhood's burning down. The guy's got a point.
There's a point when your car and your tree are on fire, and you're like, "Hey, you don't want to be like, honey, just let them have their fun, all right?"
But he was coming over when the thing was early. All it was loud. It's like, hey, look, it's one loud night. Just let the kids do
No,
this.
he was over there when the street was packed full of cars. Now, look, I'm saying that if I was a rational adult, I would be like, yeah, that is really disrespectful.
That's too hypothetical.
But I was so caught up in the party. I was like, man, fuck fuck you, man. Come on. Quit being so fucking, quit being a downer. Let me just having a party. Go home, man.
You want to take part in the fun. You want to feel like one of those kids going, yeah, fuck you. We got the right to party.
Get out of here, old man.
Look, sweetheart, come here. Let him squeeze your tits. Now, going back home.
Now, you say,
that would have changed everything, I think. But the movie invites you to go along for its hedonism, and that's fine. It is just a fantasy. It's not a documentary. I would have actually been kind of pissed if it had been a documentary. Like, fuck these kids. But it's just a fantasy. All right, fine. It's like the world's greatest party, or at least, in the high school context of that.
You see them bring the teen sex comedy back in different forms throughout several spans of years. I like 5-10 years. You see it brought up in a different way. American Pie. Yeah. It was brought. It was new for our generation with American Pie. Now they're getting it in this documentary, found footage, whatever you want to call it, format. And that is what kind of creeped me out, because when you look at actors in a movie, they look like, when you have a lot of actors playing teenagers who are really adults. Right. We see them as like, that person's 20 something, that person's 30 something, that person's 40 something, they're not high school students, you can tell. But in this movie, god damn, a lot of these kids really look like they were in high school. When the movie was over, I walked my ass right out the back door of the theater because I thought the police were going to be waiting for me at the front, because they show so many girls in this movie topless. Now, I don't have a problem with that, but fuck, man, a lot of them look like they were 16 and 17 years old.
I didn't think they looked.
I did.
The thing is, I was like, okay, now they're really going to have to show every girl showing their ID in the front of the camera before they take off their goddamn tops. Because I'm a little scared right now. I'm like, okay, this movie doesn't give a fuck, and I'm really worried. I could be right now in the middle of watching the biggest crime committed, in movie history.
But it's fun. You're right. I mean, I didn't like this movie. Even when the party started, I was resisting. I was like, I'm not going to fall for this. This is not going. I'm not going with. And then the movie,
they're trying to trick you.
The movie grabbed me and shoved a fucking tequila bottle in my mouth and just turned me around. I was like, oh, and by the time that party started, I was like, oh fuck, this is awesome. But see, it's fun because that's where, if this movie has any kind of, I guess if it has any kind of artistic merit to it at all, any kind of evolution and any kind of storytelling that it has, because it has no story except that you watch as that party gets out of control, and it feels like it really is more and more getting out of hand. And it starts to feel not even so much like a party anymore. I felt like I was watching Apocalypse Now after a moment, because and that's what makes it cool. It starts with the typical thing of too many kids in the house, and then they start to tear up the parents' stuff. And then they start to like spread out and destroy the neighbors' homes, and then you see fireballs blowing up in the background.
It's a party movie. It's a party movie that turns into a disaster movie.
It is. It's like 2012 on one block.
And it's a party that could have used Kelly LeBrock at the end of it. It was this one.
Well, I was like, the only way this movie's going to get any more epic is if the guys from the Road Warriors show up. I'm like, oh wait, they already did that.
Yeah, I saw that movie.
And you just feel this kid the whole time. I have to say, for a kid that has, because none of those kids have any real personality outside of they're supposed to be this for these stock characters for this stock plot right here. But there was that one kid, the kid who lives in the house, whose birthday it was that they were having a party for. I will say, for a kid that has no personality at all in this movie, I felt both nervous for him, scared for him, and I felt really happy for him too. I was like, man, yeah, your parents are gonna fucking murder you when they get home. But if you're gonna die, this was worth it, right?
You will be a living legend.
You will be somebody. If your parents kill you, you will be a martyr.
You will be telling this story all the way through to your deathbed, and no one will ever go, "Oh God, he's telling that story again." They'll be like, "Come on, tell that story again."
Tell the story again in the prison, all sitting around the campfire. Tell it one more time, would you?
And it's within that party that they do actually succeed at a lot of things that the found footage movie does. I mean, there's parts when you go through there, it does feel sort of like a war zone. And then there's other parts you go in there, it feels like a haunted house. I mean, there's one part the guy's depressed, and there's just bitches in the corner just staring at him. I think I saw that dude stand in the corner like in the Blair Witch somewhere. I mean, it's kind of scary at times. I mean, and there are other times where, like I said, most of the time it is just pure chaos, and the camera work. I did admire them for actually having a movie this chaotic and not giving anybody a sense of motion sickness, because the cameras, not doing too much shaky cam. I mean, if there's any place the camera should be shaking, it's this fucking party. But you know, I guess they got like the guys wanted a homemade steady cam or something.
Which is where I forgave the film when it did get into the ridiculousness of like, okay, you telling me
there were some scenes where I'm like, who's filming this?
Who's shooting this shit in slow motion? You know, as this is going on, where you know you kind of like I just kind of dropped it where I'm like, okay, you know what, this obviously has to deviate from that because you know at this point. Does anybody really care? I mean, I sure as hell didn't when they decided to do your traditional camera tricks and camera movements. So
well, I guess
it really didn't. It just didn't bother.
Well, that's what actually makes it a legitimate found footage movie because they have so many different characters. Most of it's taken from a friend of theirs who actually kind of liked. There's a guy behind the camera who just chimes in every now and then, kind of a creepy
He was the
guy.
only interesting character in the whole film, if you ask me.
Just because he was such a because he was such a mystery.
Yeah, but there were other things where you have people who shot things on their cell phones and gave their testimonials.
Yeah, it's a high school party. Every single person there has a cell phone camera, and they are using it constantly and uploading it. And come on, that's not far fetched to imagine there was 400 cameras.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not far fetched. I didn't say it didn't work.
No, I'm saying I'm arguing with co-host.
Oh,
here.
yeah,
I'm saying it is plausible, and it's edited. Clearly supposed to be edited in post. And like, okay, they weren't filming it in slow motion. Whoever put it together did that.
Yeah, that was Jimmy Kimmel's people. Who
Yeah. But it was.
I don't have a problem with that. Although, do they make underwater cell phones? I don't think they do. Do they?
No.
Not generally for high school.
Yeah,
kids?
it's called a Ziploc bag. You know? And at that part, I'm sure somebody had one.
There was some of that. I was like, okay, probably not.
No, it's I guess they make the biggest problem that no one has really been able to overcome yet, and that is right here. They probably have the best excuse to have somebody filming something, and it's probably the most convincing, but it's still not convincing in which situations they put him in. I mean, this camera guy, I swear to God, he's in two places at one time in this movie when something's happening. Like he's always at the right time when the romantic subplot's about to happen. He's hiding in the closet when there's an important plot point right here. He's under the bed or something. And
even when a character goes off to think by themselves, somehow he's in the room and they don't tell him to get to leave.
Even when the parents are discussing things where you're like, why is this guy shooting anything involving the parents at all?
Yeah.
Because they're showing an important plot point where the parents hope nothing terrible happens to their house.
Well, they do establish this kid is kind of disturbed. So, yeah, remember at the end, the credits, like talk about where he comes from. You're like, oh, something's wrong with that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Not that unbelievable.
Yeah. But the one thing that I get pissed off about these teen comedies, these rom, they always have to fucking throw in the dorky, the lead guy. He always has to have a really hot friend. Yeah. And for some strange reason, they can't ever get hooked up until another hot bitch enters the picture to where that is the ultimate score. And everyone knows where exactly that's going to lead to. Well,
that's the nature of how high school
it's so goddamn played out. I'm so sick of seeing that on screen. I'm like, really?
I agree with you. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's one of my biggest problems with this movie is the tiny bit of a plot they do have. That's it. That's all there is. Mm-hmm. The rest is just a party montage.
And I hate that too, because I never had that in high school. No. I always had the fat friend who was after me, and if that girl didn't work out, if that girl didn't work out, I had the fatter friend who wanted me. You know, hi Corey.
But in her head, it was a movie about how y'all were best friends, but gonna actually, look into each other's eyes and hook up.
Yeah, it was some kind of wonderful shit going on.
And in my head, it was a horror found footage movie.
Well, except for when you got a little drunk and it's a little middle of the night. She happened to live across the street. Her window was open. And that ain't nobody ever gonna know.
Contacts you on Facebook years later.
And that is the footage I don't want them to find.
Unfound footage.
Yeah.
You guys keep saying, using the words hate and bored. And I see where you're coming from, but I didn't have strong negative emotions. I mean, like those characters, I didn't feel for them that much. Certainly in the beginning, the first 30 minutes, first third, I didn't even like them. I was like, wow, I kind of hate these kids. And it's not, like I said, it ain't nothing more than I saw in Superbad. I'm like, I'm just kind of sitting through this again. However, once the party gets going, that's when it becomes fun. Honestly, I was really digging it once it really got going in the second half. once the second half got going, the only thing I didn't like was in doing those narrated wrap ups of, and this would happen to this character after, because I just hate that. That's one of my pet peeves in movies.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah, I don't-
movie.
No, if there's anything I hate that.
Well, I mean,
but for me, I don't know. I give it a low matinee. I had a good time.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we keep talking about the party, but there are small things that happen that are just messed up, whether they're in the atmosphere of a party or not. That's pretty funny, and I laughed pretty hard even when I was hating the movie. And I am really hesitant to even praise this film. I feel so irresponsible praising this film. I mean, I feel like if I actually say something nice about this movie and recommend that people see it, I'm going to be on some Predators list somewhere.
Well, we need to recommend it to the parents, so that way they can either keep their kids chained up or do some aversion therapy where they make them watch it but shock them every time.
Jesus Christ, Leon, you're the man. You know, why don't you let these kids have fun, man?
You just like watch the whole movie with your kid, don't say a word, in the very end, look at them, go, we're on to you.
He'll be the nerdiest kid too. I'm a straight ace too. Shut up. I'm gonna give this a matinee, and I'm telling you kids this because this movie ruined it for y'all. Y'all, hey, you know, there's so much drug use, alcohol use, sex, and just debauchery going on in this movie. The Pope, the Catholic Church, every conservative group in this country are going to put you fucking teenagers on lockdown. All of y'all will be wearing low jacks when you get home from school. You are not going to be having any more fun after this. Go see this movie, act like you're at this party, and enjoy yourself, because after that, life is over until you get the hell out the house.
Shit, this movie's a lawsuit or 100 lawsuits waiting to happen right now. I tell you what, we are going to be seeing over the next 6 months fucking house parties that got out of control, way out of control, because the kids are like, yeah, we saw that movie. We're like, yeah, it's going to be like that. You're going to be seeing that shit in the news. I guarantee you. But you know what? This is the movie. This movie is for those kids anyway. It's wish fulfillment. You know, no kid, I don't care what they do. They're not going to do anything as crazy as the shit that goes down in this party, because it just wouldn't happen that way. There's a point
The cops would
well
turn right back
earlier
around.
on. The cops would have shut it down well before it's the point where you got to call riot squad or the National Guard.
I was about to say, he would have called the
now.
National Guard.
Yeah.
Police? Really?
Yeah.
Shit.
But I don't know. I'm as just who I am. I'm watching it. I just kind of got bored through most of it. It really wasn't until it started becoming fantasy that I started kind of going with it. And that's partially because, like I said, there's no characters to care about. There's no plot to speak of that you haven't already seen 1,000 times before. I mean, it sounds weird. Even the young me wants to smack me by saying I was bored by seeing 70 different sets of titties and a bunch of people drinking booze. But all it made me want to do was go, like, why am I watching somebody else's party? How do I get an invite to actually go? You know what? I'm going to leave here and go to the bar. I'm going to a strip club.
You
Fuck
don't,
this.
yeah, you don't get invitations to parties like that no more.
Not anymore. Not anymore. If we lived in LA, we might, but they don't even throw that here in Austin.
Wishful
We just, somebody pulls out the bong, and then we all end up watching a movie. No, but I don't know. I can't say I didn't enjoy the last 30 minutes of it. I did. So I'm going to give it a high rental.
All right.
Well, I mean,
What did you give it? I'm sorry.
I gave it a matinee.
Okay, I'm
I
sorry.
gave it a matinee, and I was almost on the verge of giving this a full price
Yeah.
because of the party.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where you wake up the next day
With your hangover.
and all you remember, you got the hangover, and you try to reflect. And
What did I get that
all you
movie?
remember were like things that you're like, did that really happen? The rest of that shit before, forgettable. Yeah, the beginning of this movie, it's going to be forgettable. When, as soon as it gets into the party, you're exactly right. That is the meat of the story, and that is where that's where all the fun is. But then, there are little things I liked about it too. They introduce these two kids that are the security for the
Yeah.
party. I thought they were actually pretty great.
They were.
Yeah, I thought they had me fucking rolling the whole time. Yeah, I mean, it was one of those movies where using a style like this, a found footage type documentary feel to it, I thought it succeeded where it needed to. And, I applaud them for doing that, because they made this the ultimate party that you will never be at. Kids out there, you should listen to Corey. He's absolutely right. There's not a snowball's chance in hell that you will ever be at a party like this. Just like there's no fucking way you're gonna ever get to fuck that chick that you love watching on porn so much. There ain't no way that shit's ever gonna happen to you, because you're just like the rest of us. You suck. All right. So with that, it's definitely a all out matinee. I think those who really want to fucking enjoy the hell out of it will.
Yeah, I tell you,
That's how I
man,
feel.
if I had a daughter, I would be chaining her ass to a radiator like Samuel Jackson did in Black Snake Moan. Our kids are going to be locked in basements like creatures. I mean, they're going to be locked in barns. They're not going to be able to go out anymore. And I got to give it to you. There's a huge fantasy level here. The police come up there and say, you got to quiet it down. Don't make us come back. They're not even 2 blocks down the street before they're like, and there's no way
They hear a sound system like that for like a mile.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
It's funny because it's one of those things where normally I might go like, yeah, well, cops are lazy. They wouldn't turn around. But they kind of ticked those cops off. So they had a reason to want to come back.
There's an explosion that goes on fucking behind them. And you see the guy, did you hear that? Nah.
The only thing I can believe is that those cops just didn't come back. They're like, no, this is a fucking job for somebody better than us. They sent that SEAL team in that killed Osama bin Laden to stop that party. Shit, it's an Al-Qaeda party right here. We gotta stop this shit. Fuck, terrorists are winning this fucking neighborhood right here.
Hello?
Thomas?
Dad, hey.
Well, we just wanted to call one last time. Make sure you were set for the night.
Yep, all good.
On the pursuit of happiness, and I know everything that shine ain't always gonna be gold. Hey.